And the federal government has released new guidelines for plea bargaining for federal prosecutors. A gazetted copy of the guidelines obtained by a correspondent dated October 4th, 2023 and signed by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister for Justice, Lateef Fagbemi. The plea bargaining guidelines of federal prosecutors 2023 seeks to complement and enhance the efficiency of the criminal justice system for orderly, predictable, uniform, consistent, and timely resolution of criminal matters, guides the prosecution and defendant in reaching a plea bargain that ensures protection of public interest, the interest of justice, and prevents abuse of legal process, enhance public confidence in the plea bargaining process in Nigeria, and ensure that principles of accountability, equity, integrity, and transparency are observed in the exercise of prosecutorial discretion on plea bargain in line with the international best practices and the intendment of the Administration of Criminal Justice System, ACJA, to prevent abuse and facilitate a reduction in case backlog and congestion of correctional centers. Okay, Frank Tietie, lawyer and Arise analyst, is here to help us understand this issue better. Very warm welcome to News Night.
Thank you, my pleasure.
I can see that's not a right smile. I think that's really going to help lawyers and the criminal justice system with the amendment or new guidelines, so to speak, for this plea bargain. How expedient is it?
I think it's timely, even though since 2015, when we had the Administration of Criminal Justice Act enacted, it made very copious, robust provision under Section 270 for the application of plea bargaining as a means of resolving criminal prosecution. Unfortunately, it hasn't been effectively used by previously, especially by prosecutorial agencies like the ICPC and the EFCC. Then not much has been heard about the Federal Ministry of Justice prosecutors using Section 270. And again, there was unnecessarily large latitude in terms of wide discretion on the part of single prosecutors, influencing
the plea bargain.
So what the Attorney General of the Federation has done is to make certain the procedures for administering Section 2, the powers of the prosecutors and prosecutorial agencies under Section 270. It's a welcome development because as a practicing lawyer myself, I've seen how widely it has been abused when a single prosecutor can just misuse the discretion of the state with regards to a known crime. So but when you look at the preponderance of criminality, especially with regards to public sector finance, where officials of government have a very, opportunity. They have so much opportunity to be able to pilfer funds unknown and quietly without much scrutiny. Then when eventually they are caught, they have enough resources to defend themselves and filibuster the case for so long. So what has happened is this plea bargaining guidelines for federal prosecutors will actually dispense with those cases more quickly than
absolutely, because that's what the amendment is saying here. The filibustering that you talked about, dragging cases for years and the rest. It's another form of the ADR, right?
Not quite. I like the fact that it is not compromising the sense of justice and the need to prevent reoccurrence of criminalities, especially with regards to issues of corruption. So it deals with the procedure where even a defendant can make application for plea bargaining. Most times it's usually seen as something happening outside of the court and outside of the public glare. But this time around, there are now provisions, together with the fundamental provisions of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, that require the full intervention or the participation of not one prosecutor, but prosecutors, lead prosecutors, the prosecutorial agency, then the director of public prosecution of the federation, and then ultimately the Attorney General is not unusually left out as it used to be. The Attorney General this time around, and this becomes something to worry about, that the Attorney General appears to be contemplating that he intends to prosecute quite a lot of these cases. Hence, he has gone ahead to bring out these guidelines in the hope that he doesn't want to waste time, but he seems to want to make offers to known criminals who have been confronted with cold hard facts, and then begin to ask them to forfeit those funds to the state. So somehow the Attorney General is looking forward to
quick dispensation of
not
justice,
not necessarily for quick dispensation of justice, but possibly for faster forfeiture of
stolen
proceeds. They call them proceeds of crime.
But some people are wary here, that administering the plea bargain, which is a universal, court settlement system in a criminal matter, that it will encourage a lot of Nigerians go still and just, bring some for plea bargain.
No, not quite. Again, what I noticed about the guidelines, I haven't done a very surgical analysis of it, in terms of clause by clause. But I've noticed that it has not emphasized victims of crime in terms of, because when a crime is committed, most times they are usually victims. And when you look at the provision of Section 270 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, it makes provision for adequate compensation of victims of crime. But in this case, the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation appears to be more interested in what federal prosecutors do in terms of cases that are interested in that hold the possibility of getting suspects or defendants who are already in court, who have already been charged to court, to forfeit the proceeds of the crimes that we are talking about. So the Attorney General is more interested in avoiding the wasting of time in terms of prosecuting these cases, and then he's also looking at a situation where he as a practicing lawyer who has a history of watching these things, but I've seen that the incompetence of prosecutorial agents, will often lead most times to these persons going free. Now, our public service system allows heads of ministries, departments, and agencies to actually have opportunity to steal money all the time, and they do it in such a way that it's difficult to catch them. And when you catch them, oftentimes they must have spent the money, bought houses in Abuja and Lagos, and then expended monies also in buying foreign exchange. So the idea is that when you get these persons, let it be that even the prosecutor can look at it that it may be difficult for him to, achieve a conviction. The prosecutor can now write to the Attorney General either through the DPPF or through the head of EFCC or any of these prosecutorial agencies, and then say, please, we can't waste this time. Please allow us to ask this man to forfeit 1 or 2, 3, 4 houses, and then let him go free, or possibly let him be charged for a lesser offense or get a lesser sentence. So somehow it will help, and then it will expose crime. It will deter persons from getting involved in stealing public funds, and again, most importantly, it will prevent the wastage of government resources, because you need to know how much it costs for EFCC or ICPC or the Federal Ministry of Justice to prosecute one case of crime. Oftentimes they give up. I've been involved in EFCC cases where, despite having very brilliant prosecutors, but they just give up because you can't expect them to keep coming to court for just one case for 2-3 years. I've experienced it, and it's quite disheartening for a country that has an endemic culture of corruption in its public service.
So you must pity somebody like us who've been in court for 14 years for just a simple civil matter.
But you are lucky that you already have your matter being listed in the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court doesn't even have dates for cases up to points like 2025 or 2026. So you already have a date, and there's hope for respite.
I think it's even good again that 11 justices of the Supreme Court have already, been cleared by the Senate. So that's going to strengthen things.
We've spoken so much about this.
Yeah.
The Attorney General is being practical in responding to the backlog of cases and all that by these guidelines.
Yeah.
But like I have mentioned several times, and Senate President Godswill Akpabio has said it, The Supreme Court does not need to deal with all of those matters.
Yes, a lot of matters shouldn't be going. Absolutely.
We're talking about the federal Supreme Court. They should be dealing with federal issues that that actually define what make the things that make us a federation, and not necessarily, and more of policies that have to do with issues that are fundamental, and not necessarily issues that can be dealt with by regional court of appeal.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much, Frank Tietie, like always, a Arise analyst and lawyer.